On this deck here, we're going to have 100 inches. That's the overall width. 100 inches. So at 50 inches, that's the center of my deck. What I'm trying to explain here is how I'm laying out this big balloon wall. It's going to be a wall that's about 12 feet tall, but instead of making a wall that's square and extending studs up later, I'm going to build the whole thing in one piece, so that way when it's traveling down the road, it's kind of like a windbreak too. So what I had to do was I had to snap a center line here, and then from the center line to the outside of the sheathing is 50 inches. What I did was I took 3 sheets of plywood and I laid it on the ground. I subtracted the 24 inches. I added that to the bottom of the sheet. 24 inches there. My overall height by code going down the highway can't exceed 13'6". So right now I'm going to be it's actually 21 inches, 22 inches. I'm actually going to be at like 13'3" to the top of my ridge. Kill it for a second. So when laying out this balloon wall, you have to accommodate for everything from the wall height up, or from the top to the back up. So right now I'm at about 25 inches. Come over here. My trailer begins at 20 and a half. What is it? Yeah, 20 3/4 inches. So I'm going to burn 20 3/4 inches. On a center line that's 50 inches in. And I'm ending up with 13 foot, just under 3 inches. I think I'm 13 foot 2 3/4, 158 3/4, burning 20 3/4 inches. So I know that when I start to build my wall, I'm not going to exceed 13'6". So I'm leaving it down 3 inches for roof sheathing, for ice and water shield, for my metal sheathing, and for my metal cap. Okay, I want to stay down like 3.5 inches just to give myself a bumper so that I don't extend past 13'6". So what I basically did was I took my framing square and I want to extend. If you come over here for a second. This is going to be my loft height. It's at 7 foot to the bottom of this here. But I want to extend the walls up so that I have a little bit more space instead of the roof pitching down right into the corner. I'm adding a shallower pitch roof. It's going to be a 7.5, 12 pitch roof, which will actually give us some room in these corners here. That way if you go to throw a mattress up in the loft, you're not pinching the area, first of all, but second of all, you have a little bit of space to start to build like storage. If you want to build storage on the side here, it's just a little bit more comfortable instead of having just one steep roof that goes to a point. So it's going to give me a little bit more wall height, but I think it's going to work a lot better for the overall project, especially for that space up above there. So this isn't just like a 45 degree, which this would be 45 degrees, okay? It's basically on your common rafter. This would be common. It's going to be a 7.5, 12, okay? That's the pitch on the common side. 7, in between 8, 7.5, all right? My overall rafter length, I'm going to have a ridge that's going to be 2 by 4. So I had to come in 3/4. I hooked the top of it and came down to 57.5. That's where my bird's mouth is going to start. A bird's mouth is a piece of wood that's notched out of the top plate, notched out of the rafter to allow for the top plates. And then I'm overhanging it 4.5 inches or 5 inches. Okay, so the seat cut will be 3.5 The plumb cut would be 2 1/4 for my bird's mouth. This will be notched out of the rafter. I'll show you that later. Hooking the point to where the bird mouth is going to start is 57.5 inches, and then hanging it over would be 64 inches. That's the overall length of the rafter itself. So I have a stud height of 8 foot, 2 top plates, and 1 bottom plate. So we're going to start building this wall. I'll show you when I snap it out how it's going to look. That way you have an idea how to build it for yourself. What I did here was I took and did a section. I built a section of this wall so you guys can see exactly what's happening here. We have the center line on our deck. It's just a line snapped through, and we're going to have a 2x4 ridge. So I just took a little block of wood, put center point on it. That's my ridge. And then we have a bottom plate here, 3.5 by 1.5 inches. And then a 96-inch stud. This is just an 8-foot stud with 2 top plates I'm going to have on the top of the walls. Then I cut a rafter. The same numbers I told you before, 57.5, 64 is the overall, and this is the bird's mouth. It's 3.5 inches, okay, by 2 1/4 up off the bottom. And that's going to be at that 7.5, 12 pitch. Okay, 7.5 on the common. So that's hooking the page to the top of the rafter with the 7.5, 12, 57.5, and 64. Okay. This will give us an overall height on this wall. And I'm coming in 4 inches off the end because I'm going to build this wall in place so I can just stand it up without having to carry it up on the deck. Hold me there for a second. Just step on it. Good?
Yep.
So it's going to be 11 foot, 1 1/4 inches, 133 1/4 is my overall height on this wall. All the outside walls, the rest of the perimeter walls, they're going to be 8-foot studs with 3.5 plates. So it'd be 96 plus 4.5, 1, 2, 3 times 1.5 inches is 4.5 on 96 is 100.5 inches. Will be my overall wall height on the rest of this. It's going to be a little bit taller than the regular ones, but I'm going to have 7 foot clear for ceiling height underneath the loft, and it's even going to be taller in the other areas. It's going to look real nice. And coming down, what do we got here? Like 13.5 inches on top of it. So this will be my collar tie later on for the loft area. It'll go on top of in between the walls there at 13.5 inches. Which is going to give us